Welcome to 2025. I am suffering from yellow ochre separation anxiety. So rather than jumping into a painting, well, actually painting, I'm just going to take a mixture of burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, and try to draw in a bit of a sketch here. Okay, maybe I should just hop in with charcoal for a moment here. Give myself a little bit of a little bit of orientation. I was watching a motorcycle video earlier where they're traveling through the trees. T-Dub's Kid is the name of the channel. And he's got a lot of good videos out. But anyway, I was watching one tonight and it reminded me of some of the stuff I've done in the past, and I just love tootling in the bush. I love the time of the day where the sun's going down. And I thought, maybe what I'll do is just do a quick sketch of that idea. So a lot of silhouette, different tree shapes. Mostly dark foreground, well, quite dark. And it'll be about sort of a sunset. So let's just give that a whirl. Okay, I got a few strokes in there. These are going to be, you'd see them as lodgepole pines, I suppose, in general. I think I'm happy with my placement of the trunks. So we'll put them in. Lodgepole pines are very straight, as a rule. You'll see them in the high Sierra. You'll see them usually a higher elevation, drier countryside. Not something we have locally here in the lower mainland in the Fraser Valley where I live. But I've spent a lot of time in this kind of country, and frankly, I kind of prefer it because it's drier. And you get real winter in places like this. That aside, just the image of seeing it on his channel, I thought, I like that. So, I'm just going to see if I can make some shapes that look sort of somewhat interesting. It's the general feeling of these trees is you have a lot of branches doing this. Not up as much, not down so much, but just kind of across, and they can be pretty thin trunks, and they can be very interesting. You need some variety, but it's just the whole painting ends up with sort of a, what would you say, a bit of general feeling that I quite like. And, obviously, I'm biased because I do love that kind of countryside. So we'll throw in, I always say that, we'll throw in this, we'll throw in that. Let's not throw anything in. In fact, I've got one running off the top of the canvas. The panel. I don't know if I want two. I might just leave it at that. I'm not being very thoughtful in my placement of strokes here, but I'm also not terribly worried about it. When you do a painting like this, it's almost as much a decorative piece as it is a scene. Towards the bottom of the trees, often the foliage will be more sparse. You get trees of a certain age and you won't have quite as much foliage towards the bottom. So that's what we're doing. We're doing sketchy stuff here. And my thoughts are that yeah, I'm laying a lot of foliage in right now, a lot of branches, but as the painting develops, I'm going to have a lot of little spots of color. You know, I want that sunset to show through a little bit. Maybe like that. Maybe like that. Now, I'm gonna put a little bit of, I'm just gonna hop into some cobalt blue now. And these will be trees that will be in the distance, a little farther away. So they'll be a little lighter than the foreground ones, but not a whole pile. Not a whole pile lighter, just a little lighter. And I suppose that from your vantage point, you're just seeing me block in a bunch of dark color, and that's more or less what it is. But me sitting in front of it, under this lighting, I see maybe slightly different things than you do because I also have a vision of what I'm after. Okay, so that's some more. Something a little more distant there. Okay. Now I'm just going to mix my cobalt blue right into my pile because I don't care. I don't care that much about what's in the foreground color-wise. I'm not going to depart from what I've got. I'm just going to stay dark. Dark, dark, dark. That's what I care about. All right, there's a trail here. All right. I'm probably using, kind of being hard on a fairly new brush here, but I'm not on a canvas with the warp and weft, so it's not like I'm, you know, then you're sort of working a new brush against sandpaper in a sense. This is much easier surface on my brush, so that's good. Let's see. I have a little bit of raw umber sitting on my palette, and you won't see a big difference right now in value or color, but once it's dried up, it will be identifiable enough for me to use as a reference. You know, I'm going to try to stay with the idea of keeping it fairly loose. Look at making it look like a study. I'm just kind of, I'm going by memory here from what I was just watching an hour ago or half an hour ago, but I'm not trying to copy any individual trees. I'm trying to revisit the theme of the feeling that I got when I was looking at this little, at the scene on this video. On this video. Excuse me. Oh, I hear fireworks in the distance. I guess some people prefer to run their fireworks New Year's Day Eve rather than New Year's Eve. I don't know. Or maybe there's somebody just standing outside of my house yelling, pop, 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 pop. Always a possibility. There's some pretty weird people around, myself included. You know, I'm just not too sure I want to do a whole lot more than that. Enough to keep it interesting, not over the top. I don't mind this top of the tree just sticking out like that. That's okay with me. Okay, it's pointless for me to washing anything up here because I can just go directly to painting on this beautiful burnt sienna background that's been laid thinly over a white panel. There's already a hint of a glow there. Likely you'll see, even once the painting is done, there will likely be a few little speckles here and there of the burnt sienna showing through. I certainly like that effect. Let me give my brush a wash here. Okay. We will leave it at that. Now I know, like I have a little bit of yellow ochre on my palette. A tube with practically nothing in it. In fact, the only way to get more out of it is to basically take a pair of tin snips to it and try to scoop out little bits. I'm not going to bother with that right now because I'm not going to paint right now. But what I do, I know there are people who take their palette and they put it in the freezer or in the fridge or what have you to cool it off. But that seems to me to change the consistency a little bit of the paint. A little bit if you leave it there overnight or longer. I just like to leave my paint on my palette. It doesn't change anything. And also, when if you put your paint in the fridge or the freezer, when you take it out, you have to leave it sit at room temperature for a while, or you will have condensation on the entire top of the palette. You have to let that dry before you get back into your paint, or you're mixing tiny droplets of water in with your oil paint. You certainly don't want to do that. So I'm just going to show you what I've done because I have taken a little bit of yellow ochre out that I do not want to dry. All right. Underneath that piece of toilet paper is a little bit of yellow ochre, the very little that I have left that's easy to access. So what I do is I'll take toilet paper, I will soak it with linseed oil, as you can see, drape it over that pile of yellow ochre. It prevents oxygen, or it reduces the amount of oxygen that can access the paint itself. And being soaked with linseed oil, it actually keeps heavy fumes between the underside of the toilet paper and the pile of paint. And that works just fine without making the paint any more oily. Okay, that's close enough to a squared off shot. Hope you had a decent and safe time New Year's Eve. And we'll talk to you when we get back to this. Good night.